This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on over-analyzing a topic.
Gorged, because we already tried this once, and we lost the episode again. The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month you gain access to not one, but two podcasts. $5 gets you that. Nope, the other one.
Other one.
Thank you. Don't know why I did that. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and I decide we don't feel like thinking, because clearly our brains are fried anyways, and we sure as hell don't feel like playing something else. So we watch it and talk over it instead. And $2 gets you That's Hell You're Walking Into, a monthly series where Ben comes to me with questions about Fate Stay Night, Fate Grand Order, and the extended Nasu verse, and I do my damnedest to answer them. Sometimes he asks me about the moon, and I have to tell him, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you about the moon. The answer to the question is no. The answer, Sarah, what's up with the moon, is mind your own business. And if you think that sounds, yeah, come on. The only blue life that matters is sabers. If you think that sounds like fun, and it usually is when we aren't losing our minds, head on over to patreon.com/thegorge. Whether you donate $2 or $10 or $50, we appreciate every single one of you. So yeah, thanks.
Don't donate $50 though. That's a scam.
It is a scam. If you want to get the scam tier on our Discord, you can donate $50 a month. However, it doesn't actually get you anything except to just get you the easily scammed role on our Discord, which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you like being shamed publicly on a Discord with like 60 people on it.
Exclusivity is a big thing, so I mean, you know.
Maybe.
Thank you to JT, Steel Condor, Niharbot, Red Lantern Reviews, Holy Star 64, Patrick Perez, Roddy 1/2, Saturn, Alice Marks, Shia, Magus, Jack, Liam Lane, and that other one dude.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We're all losing our mind, if you can't tell. We already tried this, yes, just like last week, because this podcast is cursed, and we dared to say, boy, we hadn't actually lost an episode in, like, several years. And then we lost an episode. We thought, well, you know, it was the first time in a while. I'm sure it's fine. No, it wasn't fine. No. We tried to do this yesterday, and we lost it again. So we learned our lesson, and now I'm the one who does the Zencaster call. I suppose I should talk about what we're talking about. You saw the episode title. We're talking about Horizon Forbidden West for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, and that's it, baby.
Yeah, a very, very good video game.
A very good, very beautiful video game.
I think for the sake of getting to where we were,
sure.
We actually should break this up into like segments.
Sure, absolutely. Let's do it.
I'm like, why don't we talk about, like, we'll do like the gameplay, the graphics, the story, the characters, you know.
Sure.
We'll just hit that. We'll
hit it like that, and that way you can maybe ostensibly only listen to the first half of this podcast and not get spoiled, because there's some interesting stuff that happens in this story. So yeah. All right then, Ben, kick us off.
So, this is probably one of the best looking video games of all time.
Absolutely. It's it's insane to me.
We talked about this when we did Zero Dawn. And once again, Guerrilla Games just like escalated the graphical game.
However, I will say, put it on performance mode.
Put it on performance mode. Do not play in under 30 frames a second.
Don't do that to yourself. I understand that you spent a lot of money on your PS5 so that your video game will look pretty. I'm going to tell you this right now. The game still looks insanely pretty, and is also 60 frames per second in performance mode. So do that. Like, you know, turn on, I don't even know what the other one's called. Turn on the fancy graphics mode for a little while to, like, appreciate everything, and then move Aloy and see that the game gets 25 frames per second at times, and go, oh, never mind.
Yeah, nope, that's no good.
I'm good actually, thank you. And then put it on performance mode and enjoy the fact that it still looks unreal.
The only
but
only
smooth.
complaint I have, well, I have two notes. One is is kind of a comment, but
Sure.
boy, when they developed the tech that like lets you see the light through like their nose or their earlobes, they were really proud of that because it's very noticeable in every cutscene.
Yeah, there is. I will say that like the cutscenes in this game look weird. Like they're way too. And I think I said it on Twitter. They're way too high con. You know that like HDR look that you can see in photography sometimes, where it's like all of the colors are really blown out and sharpened.
Yeah, they're really saturated. It's really saturated,
and like the lighting is really dramatic, and it all just kind of coalesces and looks really strange. And I can't handle it. Like the rest of the game looks really good, but I legitimately don't like how the cutscenes in this game look. They're very off-putting.
It's weird because I can't tell if it's rendered in engine or if it's like pre-rendered because
they have to be rendered in engine because Aloy's clothes change.
Yeah, but they also look like they're pre-rendered.
I know, it's very weird. Like they're doing some sort of processing effect, but only for like formal cutscenes, not for like dialogue talking. Like when you're just talking with people on the world, they don't do it there, but it's for like the big money cutscenes, and it just looks, because not every cutscene looks like it. It's just like the really, really money ones. They run it through this very strange filter that I never got used to. I played the whole thing, and I never got used to how it looked. And that's such a quibble because the cutscenes, I mean, like there's a lot of plot in this game, but the cutscenes are not that huge a part of it. But they look so weird. They just look so weird. I don't like it. Use more naturalistic lighting.
Yeah. Just use the same lighting you have in the game because that's fine. That looks great.
It's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Like the game, just the normal walking around in the world lighting is so gorgeous and so nuanced and every time of day has such different tones and colors and it's just gorgeous. Even different weather, like even foggy weather or pouring rain, you're just like, oh, this is still immaculate. It really does just blow my mind. It's definitely one of those, like, I don't see how video games can look any better kind of thing.
Right.
I think we are, I mean, we say this every generation, but I do legitimately think we're reaching a plateau of, like, technical complexity.
We're getting diminishing returns every generation since, everyone made, like, the jump to 3D. It's just been steadily less and less as time goes on, and so now we're leaning more into the artistic endeavor of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of artistry here for sure.
Yeah. The only other thing I would recommend for Guerrilla Games is to if you're gonna make Aloy look like that, you gotta figure out some hair tech.
You gotta figure out that hair tech. That hair tech is woo boy.
She explodes everywhere.
Her hair is just constantly going in insane directions everywhere it goes. And I understand, like, you want it to look like real hair, and when it's not exploding all over the place, it is very impressive, Yeah. When her hair is doing what it should be doing in a cutscene, it looks incredible. But then sometimes there'll be a very dramatic moment where she sits down and her hair is just, like, explodes.
And when she's the only character with long flowing hair in the game, you can, like, you gotta highlight it and step it up and make it look good.
Yeah, it's very funny. Like, Aloy has extreme spot the main character syndrome because she's the only one. They're like, listen, we can only afford to rig one person's hair, and it's gonna be the main character. Everybody else has 7th gen hair where, like, it's short or in a ponytail. Which is very funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, God love them all. But everybody looks so good. That's really weird, but just everybody's faces are so they're really climbing, by their fingernails out of the uncanny valley, because it's not as uncanny. I mean, like, you still kind of get moments where the animations are like maybe a little too overtuned, you know?
There were everyone's very animated in this game.
Maybe a little too animated. Everybody talks with their hands a lot.
The only small thing I did notice is sometimes their eye line doesn't match up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that before too.
They're not quite looking at who they're talking to.
Yeah, it's a little like, and that kind of definitely helps with the uncanny valley nature of the game. But there's also like a lot of, there's a lot of times where people's faces are just so impressive that I'm just like, damn, this is a video game.
Everyone, these look like, we talk about how you set the bar with Ratchet and Clank and Pixar, right? Mm-hmm. But like, this looks like a CG movie.
Oh yeah, like a few years ago, this would have been, CG quality movie instead.
Like Tintin.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, that is a really good comparison, because Tintin also kind of has that very blown out, oversaturated color grading.
Yeah, but I mean, that one's on purpose because it's a cartoon.
It's on purpose. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. I really like the look of just the overworld. Actually, it's a thing. Again, we lost our last episode, so I'm our first attempt at this episode, I should say. So I'm bringing this back up again. But like a really common complaint I hear about Horizon and open world games in general, and I think for the genre as a whole, it definitely stands true. It's the complaint that, like, you have this big open world but nothing in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, as a genre, that does hold true. But for Horizon, I feel like complaining about the empty one, there are neat things to find all over the place, but two, and more importantly, is that sometimes the reward is good art. Your reward for climbing to a high place and looking around is the looking around part. Like, you don't complain if you go look at a painting, you don't complain that you didn't get like a little trinket after looking at the painting.
And that ties into callback to fucking years ago, when I played Mario Odyssey, and it's like, well, you just got a moon for whatever this thing is. And I'm like, well, no, the reward was I did a fun puzzle. Yeah,
I did a puzzle, and that's like the reward is the playing of the game. And there are absolutely open world games that just feel empty and hollow, but you can't really say that about Forbidden West when you look at it, because the world is like immaculately designed. There's so many interesting sightlines all over the place.
Yeah, and also Horizon's open world, and I think this is very, obviously, I feel really bad for Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, it's the most cursed game series of all time.
To happen twice, happened twice. I'm willing to give them and them alone the benefit of the doubt with all these like complaints about Elden Ring's like UX, Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, yeah, you guys can afford to be a little salty. I'll give you that.
You are allowed to be mad because you keep getting your shit rocked by other games.
When the big jock on campus like bumps into you and knocks your books into a puddle, you're allowed to insult his hair.
You are allowed to call him ugly, I promise.
Yeah, it's fine.
You're the only people allowed to do that, but yeah.
But also, I think, for one thing, I think Forbidden West's world is smaller than Zero Dawn's was.
I think it's comparable in size. I don't think it's smaller, but they feel like the same size world, which is fine.
It felt smaller to me, but I appreciated it.
Sure, absolutely.
You condensed all of the content into a smaller area, so there was always something around the corner for you to check out. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not, when you think about it, especially because we just talked about it, the open world in Replicant. Yeah. Which is just a big empty field.
Yeah.
and there's nothing really for you to do in there besides use it to get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
But in Horizon, in Forbidden West, like, you're not spending a lot. Like, the path from one location to another is never really that long.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always plenty of checkpoints in between it, and there's always stuff that you can, like, explore and, like, find along the way to do that breaks up the monotony of, like, okay, go 1,500 meters to the next city.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like, I mean, everywhere you go in the world, I honestly had to ignore, because, I mean, one, we were on a deadline, and I was also playing Final Fantasy XIV at the same time, as I've been doing. So I had to, like, ignore a lot of side quests, because otherwise I would have been playing this game for 75 hours. But, like, as you're, like, riding through the open world, there are side quests to engage with, there's stuff to find, there's people to talk to. It's not nearly as, it's not... I actually think that the first Horizon had an emptier open world. But it feels like... It definitely feels like in this one, if you find, like, an interesting place, there's gonna be someone or something there to kind of interact with. And again, sometimes the interaction is just, climbing up, doing a climbing puzzle and getting to see the vista. That is, sometimes the point of art is to just look at it and appreciate it. And there's a lot of art poured into this video game. There's actually an insane amount of art poured into this video game, from just, like, how devoted they are to these really interesting varied robot dinosaur designs, to the different tribe designs, to, like, how much they, the face paint on the Tanakh is
incredible.
Incredible, yeah. And I know that's just a texture, but, like, it's really well done texture work.
They created this tribe that, like, their whole gimmick is they tattoo their history on their bodies, right? And that just opens the door to really, really cool designs.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so many, and I mean, like, the actual designs of their armor is so colorful. I think my favorite armor in the game is literally the one you get at the end from Hikaru. It's the last Tanakh armor they give you in the game. It's just that really colorful, like, teal, blue, and red set of armor with the cape. And it's just so, like, the colors are so vibrant, and it's just, everything is so nice to look at.
I love, we probably mentioned this during Zero Dawn, but that was 150 episodes ago. So,
shut up!
But, like, every tribe's design aesthetic is so sharp.
Yeah.
And I just love the blending of, like, cultural influence,
Yeah, absolutely.
The silk from, like, the Sundom, and, like, they look far more, like, Renaissance,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you compare it to the more the bulkier and heavier, more brutal armor of the Tanakh,
Yeah, the Tanakh have more, like, sharper edges and, serrated parts of their armor. I really like that the Utaru have basically all of their clothes are woven out of, like, plant stock, like plants and stuff like that. Because obviously they're a more agrarian society.
They have way less mechanical parts because they revere the machines.
Yeah, so they're not going to wear them. That would be ghoulish.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of just really good design stuff going on. It's you can just tell that a bunch of artists just slaved away to try and to give everybody, like, these really strong visual identities so that you could tell who you were dealing with. The moment you interact with them. You can tell, Oseram apart from Tanakh, apart from Utaru, apart from Gorge. And it's great. Like, it's just so fun and considered and thoughtful. And I just like seeing, because so much of we like to shit on The Last of Us 2, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna do it again. But like, I don't know, it's so easy to just do like, well, they're just wearing like,
they're wearing flannel.
They're just wearing flannel and people clothes and stuff like that. And this just has, obviously The Last of Us 2 is trying to do something completely different, but
right.
And I just really don't like the way that game looks. And I just love all of the, it would be so easy to say, well, this is a post-apocalyptic, a post-apocalyptic series after the end of the world. So you lean really hard into the kind of Fallout look. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be really easy to do that, where they're wearing like modern clothes, but with Mad Max parts stapled onto it. But no, they really went like, no, it's been 1,000 years and everything about human society that existed before has been completely wiped clean, except for like a small handful of things. So obviously things would develop in a totally different way. And I like that a lot. I mean, you can just tell that there were a lot of meetings between these artists to sit down and be like, okay, well, how are we going to differentiate all these different groups? I like it. I love it.
And and it's great because it also lends a lot to like letting every character tell the difference between like who is who, right? Like who mm-hmm. belongs to what. Well, you can tell just by how they dress. And speaking of the post-apocalypse, I said this during the lost footage, the lost episode. But I want to repeat it because I think it's just so important. It stuck out so much to me. Is, boy, you really can get artistic with rendering piles of rubble and burned out buildings. And
absolutely.
And like the charred framework of a car.
I will say, I was thinking about this over the course of the night. I think it's funny. Like in the first game, there is so little left of the old world, except for like a handful of extremely overgrown buildings. Mm-hmm. And in this game, they were like, actually, no, we really like the aesthetic of crawling around in old office buildings and satellite structures and stuff like that. So there's way more of it, which is fine. It is
fine because it's obviously leaning towards the West Coast, which is a lot of big cities and fancy things that would have there's just enough of it that it would have withstood the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you have like the most preserved place probably in the game is Las Vegas, and that's for a reason. It's because stuff doesn't really decay in the desert.
Yeah.
Like it's really hot, so there's no water to contribute to things falling apart. It's just really hot and dry. So things don't. I mean, there's still stuff out in the Mojave today that's been there for like 100 years and it's basically unchanged.
When it gets buried in sand, it basically just preserves it forever.
Yeah, it becomes like shit gets essentially mummified as a building. So like it makes sense. Speaking of visual spectacle, Las Vegas, after you finish the quest, is the best somebody had a genius idea, and it rules.
Yeah. You know what? We'll talk about this when we get to the story, but like doing every little every of the chapter parts and like getting rewarded with the influx of technology.
Yeah,
was so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a fun little touch of trying to push this world along to be kind of what it should have been, were it not for one singular asshole.
One man, and boy, do I have things to say about him.
I do too. I have things to say. Well, anyways. Anyway, carry on.
The point is, like, you get this visual spectacle, and there's so much care put into it that you can't help but be impressed, when you're playing it, Yeah,
absolutely.
I can't imagine anyone, like, watching these cutscenes and seeing this gameplay and not being impressed by it. And the difference between this and horse testicles is that this was made without grinding their employees into a fine powder.
Correct. That's actually why Horizon was pushed back, is because Guerrilla was like, actually, we're not going to crunch anybody. This game was made without crunch.
That's why we can afford to be impressed by these spectacular visual displays.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. They talked about it in an interview. They're like, yeah, that's the reason we decided to push it back to March or February, whenever this game came out, was because they decided, well, we're not going to be able to get this finished unless we crunch, and we don't want to crunch, so we're not going to do that. So we're just going to push the game back, and when it comes out, and it'll look great, and it does look great. So it worked out. I'm very glad. Hopefully, more studios will keep this in mind.
It turns out you can delay your game.
You can actually just delay your game. It won't be the end of the world if you push your game back. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The release dates are fake.
Every release date that gets announced nowadays always has an asterisk next to it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're going to hope for that, but we know that that's not a sure bet. And it's fine.
Yeah. We're aiming for that. That's what a release date should mean. Is we're just we're making an attempt for that, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So from graphics to the actual video game part of the video game, the thing I want to open with is that I appreciate that Horizon was like, we're going to make the combat more deep. And then I didn't use any of it. I feel really bad, but I didn't use any of it.
I'll probably mess around with it more if I decide to do a new game plus or anything, But we were on a time limit, so we kind of we didn't really have the time to poke around and really explore and get in depth. I will say I'm not a fan of the skill forest.
Oh, yeah, the skill forest sucked.
And this is something...
I did not like it.
If you're going to make a skill tree, right, they need to be skills, and not just you do more damage, or you can hold more, you can heal more. Right? They need to be... You unlock a new spear combo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you unlock a way to break someone's guard instantly.
I understand wanting to gate some of the like damage ups and stuff like that behind skills, because it's like it's for progression's sake, and it also kind of forces people to engage with the other skills more. Because...
My thing is, though, if you're going to have a level up system that gets you skill points, put your incremental stat boosts on those level ups.
That's actually a good point.
And just give us less skill points.
Yeah, that actually makes more sense. Yeah, because the skill forest, as you put it, is well, for one, it's the old you gave me too much choice, and now I'm paralyzed, and I don't know. And then I just ended up buying mostly bow and melee stuff, and I bought I bought pretty much everything for the bow, and I bought a lot the first part of the melee stuff, and then I bought all the stuff that increases the amount healed, and then I barely engaged with the skill tree at all after that. I was like, well, I'm good.
Well, yeah, you have, it's not even so much that you're paralyzed for choice. For me, it was none of these look worth the investment of getting towards, because you have so many of them split out. And you don't want to do what you did with the first game, which is gate lock mandatory abilities behind leveling up.
Yeah, because that sucks.
But so now instead you're just oh, the last thing on this tree is another heal boost.
Right.
Oh, well, that's not a good goal for getting this deep into the tree.
Yeah. It's definitely, just put it all in one tree. And then have all your incremental shit just happen when you level up, like you said. And, just be able to unlock different things from different points. But this whole dividing them off into multiple trees is not the way, I don't think.
No, it's not. It just feels lackluster.
Yeah, and then you end up with a bunch of skill points that you just don't even use because you don't want to engage with some of the stuff on the skill tree, So, but yeah, I think So they're inevitably, like with Zero Dawn, they're going to put out they're probably going to put out a big DLC thing, like a new area, like they always do. And when that happens, I would like to do another playthrough, like another more proper playthrough,
right?
Where I do engage with like the Valor skills or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
because I did not. I think I used them like 3 times the whole game.
Yeah, I barely use them at all.
Because it's mostly like a lot of the effects are like stun effects and stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, but things are a little too like most of my encounters in Horizon, like both games, are like, I keep it stealthy until things go wrong, and then it's just chaos.
Yeah, and then it's just a scramble for survival.
Yeah, then you're just running in circles, screaming your head off, firing arrows, crying, running into your own traps because you're an idiot and you forgot where you put that balloon, and then it blows you up, which is a thing I'm sad to say happened more often than I would like to admit. And yeah, at no point in all of that scramble do I think about, I have a Valor skill. No, I don't.
Yeah. No, there's no time.
There's no time. I have other things to do. So.
I wish some of the new weapons had also gotten a bit more fanfare and had been more useful. Mm-hmm. The shuriken launcher was really, really cool in theory.
Yeah.
But in practicality, it was just not, it didn't damage enough, and it didn't do tear effects as much as it could have. Which sucks because it's really cool and it feels like a Ratchet and Clank weapon.
Yeah, it's very cool looking and it's cool in concept, but in execution, I have a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
This is a game about hunting machines.
The harpoon launcher, like the harpoon thrower, is really cool because like if you get some people like with it right, and even machines, you just down them instantly, and that's really nice. But yeah, the bow and arrow and the slingshot were just kind of the tried and true. Yeah, this will do it. The
frost slingshot is an extremely useful weapon.
Yeah,
like between that and your acid arrows and the exploding arrows that you get, it's like, well, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm set.
That's really all I need.
That's actually all I need. I have my hunting bow. I have my long range bow. Got my frost slingshot, and I've got traps. And like between all of that stuff, I'm pretty fucking set. Like that's a one-woman army right there. And obviously, I understand that. I think I would like this game less if it forced me to engage with like the Valor skill mechanic more.
Yeah.
Because that, I don't like it whenever the game says, well, you have to play it our way. But I would have liked the Valor skills to have been a little bit more useful.
It doesn't fall into the trap of, you want to play stealthy? Okay, here's a third of your equipment.
Yeah.
You can only use these now.
Right.
Like, no, it is like Ghost of Tsushima, and also Ghost of Tsushima is like the original Horizon, where it's be stealthy until it fucks up, and then you can still get yourself out of that situation.
Right, yeah. You're not going to get fucking murdered.
We didn't honestly expect you to get out of this being unseen.
Right, because there's only you realistically can only kill so many dudes before nobody notices. Although I did clear a rebel base without raising anybody's alert at one point. I was very proud of that, but that was just because I found a really good perch point, and I just took pot shots with that long range arrow. That thing's busted. It does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage, and if you can just score a headshot, it's like, well, that was it. You're done. I will say, these are Sarah's tips for improving your experience with Horizon Forbidden West. Number 1, go into the accessibility options and turn on the thing that always shows climbing points.
Yes.
Like, just go in there.
That's essential.
It's essential. It adds a little glowy yellow line to everything you can climb on. So there's no guesswork involved. It also will allow you to see that being able to climb on things is completely arbitrary.
Doesn't make any sense. I've seen yellow X's on like a single yellow X on the side of a hill.
And it's like, why?
What? Oh, okay.
Okay. And then sometimes you'll have like two rock walls next to each other that look almost identical, and one is climbable and one is not. And it's like, why?
Doesn't matter.
You should have just made it. If you're gonna take the glider from Breath of the Wild, you might as well also take the climbing mechanic from Breath of the Wild. Just give Aloy a grip meter. That would give us something new to upgrade. Because this whole like, well, only a couple things can be climbed on is no, that's not gonna work.
No.
2, however, make your life easier in Horizon Forbidden West. Go into the options as well and turn on the thing where if you aim, it just automatically turns on the slow down time thing. Like, instead of having to click a thumbstick, just do it automatically. Way better. Makes your life a lot easier because you're going to do that anyways because you're aiming with a controller. You want the slow time.
You're going to be using the slow time every time you shoot anyway, so just turn it on to set automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you're feeling frisky, you can change how slow time goes when you're in the menu to change weapons. You can actually make it really, really slow. Do that too.
That's also helpful. Yes.
Make your life a little bit easier. And
yes, I did that when I was like, oh, that's an option. Okay.
Yeah, I like how many options there are to kind of tweak your experience because it's a single player game. Who gives a fuck? You know, like I don't care, you don't care, nobody gives a shit. So like go in there, tweak the game to your liking. But those 3 things really, will make your life a lot smoother, a lot better, and you'll have a lot better time in Horizon because then you'll also be able to see like, ooh, I will say, there are a lot of climbing points in this game, and that makes it really fun because you can just start like you can do the Breath of the Wild thing where it's like, well, I could follow the road, or I could just climb this mountain arbitrarily and go up instead, and then just jump off the top, which is the thing I did a lot.
You see that mountain, you can climb it, but like for real, actually though.
Yeah.
You can, if you want, just go in a straight line from objective to objective. You don't have to take the road.
Yeah, for the most part, except for like a handful of things, there is nothing stopping you from just taking the shortest distance between 2 points, which is great, because eventually you'll climb on top of a mountain and just jump off with your glider and then glide halfway across the fucking map. It's great.
There is that point in the game where like you're up at the top in San Francisco, and you scale one of the buildings, and like when you're done with the mission, Aloy's like, well, I could climb down, or I could jump and glide all the way down.
And it's like, yes, that's correct. That's the good impulse right there. And it's a lot of fun.
It is.
This is the thing we talked about in the Lost episode version of this.
In the Apollo episode.
In the Apollo episode, where that one tall neck that's in the middle of the desert and there's no visible way to get on top of it, and the game even tells you you'll come back to this one later. I'm stupid, and I was like, I can figure this one out. I can sequence break. So I spent like 40 minutes trying to sequence break it by climbing 2 separate mountains, because on either side of that big boy are 2 huge mountains. And I was looking at them, and I was like, if I could get to the very tippy top of that mountain and then jump off with my glider, I could coast all the way down onto this tall neck's head, right? No.
I was... Since my thought for that was when I got to that one, I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait until I get the high jump mechanic.
Ooh, that would be cool. Instead, you just get flight, which is also pretty good.
Which is pretty cool, but like,
which is pretty good.
I was like, ooh, I can't wait till I get like the foot, like the boot launchers that can let me do a high jump into a glide and get on top of that. That'll be fun.
Actually, that's a really good idea. They should add that to the next game.
They should. They should.
I would like an actual double jump in my Horizon game.
Also, there's been a lot of debate as to how you do a hook shot in Breath of the Wild when you have the climbing mechanic. Horizon figured it out.
Yeah, Horizon figured it out. Just add hookshotable points all over the map,
Yeah.
and then just,
And then just jump and double tap the jump button to hookshot.
Yeah, that's it. That's a perfectly acceptable way to do it.
Because that felt really good.
It feels really good. It's really fun. And yeah.
The only thing is, speaking of character action,
Mhm.
boy, I wish I could have used that to like tear armor pieces off.
It feels weird that you can't. Like, maybe it's because they didn't know how to implement it in a good way, because the process of getting your little pull caster thing out involves swapping from your bow to it, and it just kind of feels really awkward.
Yeah.
So maybe what they just need to do is just make it a selectable piece of equipment.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, just if you're climbing, make sure you have that thing equipped and you can use it to hookshot all over the fucking place.
Or it would be one thing if it's, because when you're climbing, it's just jump off the ledge and press it in the air to latch on. It's when you're like pulling open like a grate or like tearing a support beam down
that you have to do the awkward thing of first getting out your bow and then swapping to your pullcaster. And it's like, no, the pullcaster should just be a piece of equipment.
It should just get a permanent sliver in your weapon wheel.
Yeah, and then you use that to pull. I should have been able to pull people's the human enemies who have shields, like arm shields, like your glider.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to just grab that thing and yank it off, or yank off pieces of machine parts. You can upgrade it to be able to tear off more stuff. Or it takes less time. It could have been a whole thing.
Yeah, maybe the DLC or the next game will.
That would be
add
great.
More mechanics for that.
Because I like a hook shot. I think hook shots are cool.
Well, look, if Breath of the Wild has a glider and Horizon Forbidden West has a glider,
right,
and Breath of the Wild 2 has a Devil Bringer, then Horizon 3 will also have a Devil Bringer.
Correct, and that'll be our more useful pullcaster.
Yeah. Aloy's gonna get her arm ripped off and get a robot arm.
Yeah,
which would be rad.
But we already have a character who's got that.
Yeah, so it's foreshadowing.
Oh, you're right. What a fool I am. But yeah, no. The other funny thing to talk about gameplay-wise, or at least I guess gameplay in the world, I don't know how else to explain it, is there are certain things like upgrades I just didn't get because Guerrilla Games made a miscalculation in that they think I'm willing to kill some of these robots I really like. Especially when those robots are just minding their own business. I got to my first Thunderjaw site and I just looked up at it and I was like, that's my big boy. Look at him. He's so majestic. He's so handsome. He's just stomping around. And if he saw me, he'd tear me in half. However, I'm not going to let him see me, and I'm just going to watch him and admire his majesty. And it's I'm not going to hunt that boy. I like that boy. That's my boy. It's my big robot baby boy, along with the tall necks themselves. So, I'm sorry, Horizon. A lot of times I'm they're just minding their own business. I'm not going to attack them. They're just doing their own thing.
I think it's hilarious how little imprinting actually happens within the story of Horizon.
Yeah, I will say that, and maybe it's because they are not living in a spoiled society like you and I live in. They live in an actual hunter-gatherer society. But it's weird that only the Utaru and the Banuk in the first game. I know Silence is a Banuk, but I don't think we run into any.
No,
because
they're in the north, right?
They're
they're
up north.
Yeah, so we didn't see any anyway.
They wouldn't be out this far. But the Banuk and the Utaru are the only ones who seem to actually care about imprinting on the robots. But I just was expecting that, at this point you'd think more people would imprint on the robot. Maybe once we've tamed the robots,
yeah,
be this is my robot buddy. That would be nice.
But yeah, no, it is funny. Not even Gaia really.
Yeah.
Aloy doesn't even really bond with Gaia that much.
Yeah. I'm hoping maybe, in the third game we'll get some of that, because like it was obvious that Elizabeth was very fond of Gaia, like from the first game. And maybe it's partly because like Gaia is incomplete, so she doesn't quite have all of herself to like, be more emotional. But I mean, Aloy's character writing is kind of a sticking point in this game, just kind of in general. Like it takes a little too long for Aloy to kind of warm up and be likable again, because she's so kind of put off by being around. I mean, it's realistic because she was kind of an outcast her whole life. But that being said, these people are your friends, and they do want to help you. You should be nicer to them, please. So that. There's a little bit of stickiness with Aloy going on there, where she's trying to be kind of like the closed off hero type, and it's like, girl, your friends are too funny and goofy for you to be like that. I like your friends. I like your dumb idiot friends a lot, so be nicer to them. Thank you. But what else in terms of gameplay to talk about? That's like really.
It's just more of the same from Horizon, and that's fine.
Sure,
I was totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine for a game to just be more of the first game, but more polished and pretty.
Yeah. The only other caveats I really have in terms of the combat is bosses need checkpoints so badly.
Yeah, most of the bosses in this game kind of suck.
It's just a really, really long health bar.
Yeah.
And you have to whittle them down bit by bit.
And it's like, well, if you die...
It's start over.
And it's like, sure, that's how most video games are, or a lot of video games are. However, it's not like really why I play Horizon games.
Right.
Like, I'm not really playing them to be hard. Dark Souls / Elden Ring, this is not.
And even like Dark Souls bosses have phases at least.
That's
where
true.
It's like you get it half down and they're going to change up their tactics.
Right.
So
yeah. Like Horizon bosses don't even like have a phase change.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, you blew off most of this robot's, weapons. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Which, at least that keeps it engaging and interesting, besides, all right, well, I'm just going to run in circles and pop up a few arrows and take a second to craft more arrows.
Right. Yeah, it definitely, and like the in-world robots, if you disable their weapons, they do switch tactics on you. But I would hope with like bosses, if you disable all of their weapons before you kill them, you can, or if you disable specific weapons before you kill them, you trigger. Like, ideally, what would be cool is some sort of transformation.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, you knocked off my guns. Well, okay, I'm going to rotate my wrists and get new guns.
Yeah, or turn into a more, like, armored...
What we're saying is we watched Beast Wars.
We did watch Beast Wars, and I do still think that transforming robots are cool.
And at some point...
robots transform.
At some point, if you're going to give us a robot T-Rex, it should turn into... a weird foppish British robot.
Yeah, I think that's how that works.
With a T-Rex hand.
Correct. Or something to that nature.
What I'm saying is that the Horizon Transformers crossover would be the greatest work of fiction of all time.
It's right there. You can have that one from us for free, Guerrilla Games.
Like that's just
welcome.
The dream.
Please. But okay. What else before we finally talk about plot?
I don't really have too much more.
The game is fun to play. I mean, that's what it boils down to. The game is just really fun to play. Surprise.
Yeah. They didn't give us a lot of things new, but they did give us some new things, and it was fun. I wish there were. I hope with Horizon 3 we get more viable weapons. And there is a better emphasis on direct combat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the way I think the next game is going to go. I hope for that.
Yeah. I have no idea how the next game is going to go, considering the setup. But,
But let's talk about characters and story.
Characters and story. Where to start with this one? Because I got my complaints about Aloy.
Yeah,
taken care of.
I think the interesting thing about Aloy is that this game reiterates the first game, which is this is a very unfortunate lesbian who is just surrounded by the most aggressively pursuant men in history.
They're all in love with her. God love them all. I'm sorry, Avad and Aaron. Like, you're both just so in love with her, and she's just not.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. She clearly gets along better with the girls in the game. Like, obviously she likes like Aaron and Avad and Varl.
Yeah.
We'll talk about fucking Varl. You know, she likes them and they're her friends, but she is visibly warmer and more affectionate with all of the girls she meets.
Her and Alva.
Her and Alva, and even her and Zoe.
Once Zoe is off the table, then it's like all of her affection goes towards Alva. Yeah,
she just like obviously likes Alva. She likes that she's just this kind of awkward, dorky girl who she can talk about computers with. Like, she's so happy to have another computer friend to talk to.
I think Alva's super forced smile all the time is some of the best characterization.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, her awkwardness is extremely funny and very endearing. The only character, actually, I will make the argument that Aloy is bisexual. She just has a preference toward women. Because the only other character in the game that she seems to just be like, yeah, I want to be friends with you is Kotalo. Kotalo is the sleeper romance option of Horizon Forbidden West, because he's the only person who seems to be able to like mess with her as much as she messes with him, and I like that.
The other reason for that is that Kotalo does not talk nearly as much as everyone else.
Yeah, she likes that. She would like that too. It's like, oh, thank God, somebody else who just shuts the fuck up. Aaron, stop. Aaron, if you talked like 30% less, Aloy would probably like you more. But
that being said, Aaron is still the best character in this game.
Aaron is
so fucking funny.
He's so stupid. The moment I realized he was like, you told me about it in the roundup, but when I got to it in game, where he's obviously listening to the shitty punk band from Frozen North or whatever the hell that DLC was called. Like Frozen Wild. It's also, by the way, very confusing that your fucking DLC was named the Frozen Wilds and this game is called the Forbidden West.
Why did you
do that?
Why did you Stormblood Shadowbringers us?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get those. I'm going to call them, Shadowblood and Stormbringers, or Forbidden Wilds, Frozen West.
Ooh, if the West was frozen, that'd be really bad.
That would actually suck. We should not. However, the point is that Aaron listening to that shitty punk band is extremely funny. The fact that he listens to his music too loud. He's just like a big dumb idiot. I love him.
It's that thing where it's like, you can hear someone's music playing out of their headphones. And it's like, that's too loud.
Please turn that down. You're going to go deaf, Aaron. You don't have that many brain cells to begin with. You are destroying more of them right now.
I can't believe that. I love like walking in the conversations and like Varl and Zoe are talking about this and that, and then Aaron just like pops in with something. Like
he always has the dumbest thing to say.
They discover that Varl's like, oh man, the old ones used to be able to communicate like this constantly, like instantly sending messages or reaching someone all the time. Like, could you imagine being that available all the time? And Aaron's like, yeah, if my aunt had that, I'd never hear the end of it. She'd be calling me every day.
It just gives you the instant understanding of like the kind of family this man comes from.
Yeah.
And like, were Aaron born, 1,000 years previous, he would just be getting his ears talked off by his family 24/7. He'd just be one of those guys.
They talked about how like his sister's funeral lasted like 3 days and everyone drank way too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that fucking guy.
Did you get the bit where Varl and Zoe discover what pizza is?
Yes, that's one of my favorites. They're like, well, it just sounds like a kind of like a fried flatbread with some sauce and cheese on it. And Aaron is like, that sounds incredible. It's like, yeah, it is, buddy. You're right. He's my favorite kind of guy because he's just like like an idiot, but like affably so. The second best is Kotalo.
Kotalo is the best new character.
Yes.
And Aaron is the best returning character.
Correct, because Kotalo is just like the exact moment I realized I liked this guy was after you meet his old tribe leader of the Sky Clan for the Tenakth. And Aloy is like, oh, are you also going to be like a defiant little shit like him? And they're walking away, and you just hear Kotalo like kind of mutter, it's like, that is an unkind comparison. He's so great because he has a sense of humor about things. The of all of the like little side quests you can do for your buddies, the one for him where he's like where he's not telling Aloy what the plan is to get back at her for her not telling him what the plan was. And you can just hear like the grin in his voice the whole time. Was such a good little character moment. Like, what a fun guy. He's so smart. Serious, but he's really smart and like, is able to tell jokes just enough. Like, I love him. I think he's great. All of the new characters are good. Like we said, Alva is fun, and Zoe is the adult in the room.
The Quen, I think, are my favorite new tribe. Even though about half of them suck.
Oh yeah, that's the point though. I like them because they suck ass. Yeah.
But I think their whole concept as like a tribe and like their beliefs and structure is hilarious because you get the thing like the marshals for the Tenakth, then you find out they're based on like old military rankings that they don't quite understand, but like it's still this, you can see the structure, and they actually do a U.S. military salute because that's what they've learned and what they base their hierarchy off of. The tribe leader for the Quen is the CO.
Yeah.
And did you fuck, what was it? It's the Overseer.
Yeah, they're from it's a Wi-Fi symbol.
The Wi-Fi symbol on his chest.
Yeah, he's wearing a Wi-Fi symbol on his chest, and he's from the board of the Overseers.
The board of Overseers.
And it's like, okay, so like board of directors, okay.
You first hear Overseer, and you're like, oh, that's like a tribal thing, like the Overseer, whatever. Then you find out he's part of a board of overseers.
And you're just like, he's just like he's just a middle manager. I see. Okay. It's so funny. I really like it. I like, on the one hand, obviously, if you play Horizon and are at all invested in the story of Horizon, the idea of a tribe being invested in Ted Faro just makes you like want to die. Right. But on the other hand, it is also very funny, mind you. I really like it, so it's fine. What a irascible little shit. I'm glad he's dead. Yep. And yeah, no, there's just so much little fun. The best like side characters are the Oseram performers from Las Vegas. Those are my favorite guys. I love them. They're the best.
Yeah, I love Mickey, Donald, and Goofy.
They are. That's exactly what they are. They're just goofing off, and Moreland, who's like the main dude. I don't know. It's partly because he has a really good, like, the voice actor did a really good job, but he just comes across as so like legitimate and sincere, and he's just he's just really enamored by Aloy instantly, because again, everybody falls in love with Aloy the second they meet her. And he just has like a lot of charm and a lot of heart. And I think Stemmer, who's the guy who does all the narration stuff, his voice actor is also really good. And yeah, that's just like really fun, charming guys to hang out with. And anytime Aloy meets us like a new type of guy in Horizon, you're like, oh, you're about to have a good time. Okay.
And it was so rewarding with the Oseram trio, like, not only to wake Vegas up, right?
Yeah.
But also to get to see their reaction to it.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I was like a little worried that something was going to happen to one of them because, you know, that's a thing that can happen in this game. We'll talk about Varl.
Yeah. But it is one thing to see it for yourself and like get that spectacle, but like it really does add so much to see someone else's reaction because you're seeing it from someone who has no concept of this.
Yeah, you know? No, so this is just magic to them. For Aloy, it's like, yeah, this is pretty, but she knows how it works. Yeah. But like, this is just magic to these guys.
When he talks about like how his favorite Ember is like a spaghetti commercial.
Yeah. And it's just great. Like there's a lot of just fun characterization going on there. And part of it is, again, like I said, the fact that these guys have a lot of heart and enthusiasm. And they're just a trio of bumbling idiots who are trying their best. And as we know, we love it when a character is doing their best.
Yeah. Everyone is so earnest in Horizon. And that's what, like, well, the good guys at least. Like, the heroes. The good guys. There's such a strong level of earnesty and, like, conviction into their beliefs, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also really like it when you unlock the museum in the Tanakh. And you get to see these hardened warriors, like, finally get the full context of what they've been worshiping, you know?
Yeah, they get like the whole story and it's really great. Yeah, you just get to kind of see everybody gather around and really take it all in. And I think Hikaru is a cool guy. That's a fun character who's just like, no, I'm actually going to try to broker for peace. And there's just a lot of really interesting kind of ideas being kicked around that I think are fun. And I like the kind of the generalized character writing. It's all really solid. This is John Gonzalez. Yeah. Was still the writer for this game. He has, as of now, left Guerrilla Games. So I'm a little about Horizon 3, but he did write this one. John Gonzalez is also the guy who wrote Fallout New Vegas for the record. That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of really good and interesting character writing going on, and a lot of discussions about, like, you know, old world politics and philosophies and stuff being had. It's a thing he seems very interested in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like that a lot. I like that they gave Aloy a little sister. I'm very glad for that. I like Beta a lot.
I really like Ashley Birch getting to flex two voices.
Yeah, and they really do, because like Aloy and Beta are identical. So Ashley Birch has to still do like the Aloy tone, like still do the Aloy voice, because that's not her normal voice. Like she is affecting a voice for Aloy. So she still has to affect the Aloy voice for Beta, but also try to make it sound like a completely different person. She does a great job, actually.
They also did a very good, realistic depiction of sisters.
Yes!
Because Aloy would do anything for Beta right after she storms out of the room because she just cannot deal with her right now.
She's just so annoyed. She's just like, why are you such a pessimist? It's so annoying. And it's really funny. They're just trying to understand each other and you know, like, Aloy has I think it is an interesting of Aloy's she has it's like an actual character flaw. It's not like bad writing. It's that she is a human being who has like flaws and stuff. So she kind of tends to think that she's always right. Yeah. And that like her way is the only way. And that like any other mindset is like an incorrect mindset. You know, we get that a lot with kind of her views on people worshiping the machines and stuff. And she eventually kind of softens on it as the game goes on as well, because she is, you know, around people like Zoe. So you kind of get to see her soften some of that disbelief. And you really get to see it, like, what happens when you butt up against somebody who's so different from you in the form of Beta, you know? Mm-hmm.
And it's the scene where, you have a really, really long conversation with Beta about, like, what the next step is in the plan. And she just stomps out and says to Varl, like, I cannot deal with her. Like,
I can't deal with her.
You're better at being calm. You have to talk to her.
And it's like, yeah, I can talk to her, Aloy, but I'm not her sister. And she still needs to talk to you. I love the moment where she tells Tilda, like, no, that's a private conversation with my sister. It's like, yes, that's your little sister, bitch. You love her. It makes me so happy. She is fully adopted Beta at this point. It's like, nope, this is now just my little sister. I've made peace with that.
The best relationship you can have with your clone is considering them a sibling.
They're just like your weird sibling who looks exactly like, technically your twin, but also I think Aloy is older than Beta because they made Beta on the flight from Sirius to Earth. So I think Beta is only like 17 or 18 maybe, and Aloy is she's 20.
Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned that she's 20. So Beta is her twin, but also her little sister. And it's very cute how much Beta loves Aloy. I think it's really, like, I don't know. I think it's really cute how even when Beta is, like, freaking out about how they're all going to go wrong, like, she still admits that the whole reason she bailed in the first place is because she saw Aloy out in this world thriving and being strong and was like, oh, well, I can do that. So even when she's like freaking out, she still subtly thinks like, well, my older sister is going to make this better.
Yeah. And I thought it was, I don't know if I was supposed to think it was hilarious, but I did when Aloy, they're talking about like what they've been doing so far, and Beta's like, you should have been way further along than this. What have you been doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be a little funny.
Wait, no, I didn't expect you to be stupid. No. It's all gone wrong.
You're not supposed to be stupid. You're supposed to be cool and strong. And Aloy's like, I am cool and strong and smart. No, you're not. So then they just fight and yell at each other.
It's just Silence all over again, who's just the fucking worst in this game in every cutscene.
Every single cutscene, Silence brings out the worst in Aloy. Like, every cutscene with Silence and Aloy, I'm just like, both of you shut up! Oh my god!
I love that, even though Silence did not directly do anything necessarily wrong, he's just an asshole.
He's just an asshole.
Aloy's still like, if you step even 1 millimeter out of line, I will kill you. And I'm not even
kill you.
This is not hyperbole. I will gut you.
I won't think twice about it, motherfucker.
The last thing you see will be my smiling face.
As I'm finally free of you. Yeah. But even Silence, I like Silence. Silence sucks, but I like him. He's one of those characters because he's just funny. Like, because he's just so rude that it loops around to me liking him instead. You know? Some of my favorite interactions in this game are him and Tilda shit-talking each other.
Yes!
Like, every time they're in the same room together, they just hate each other, and it's really funny. Oh, speaking of Tilda, yeah, we get it, guys. You wanted to use Tilda Swinton, and you couldn't.
Yeah. You got Carrie-Anne Moss, which is still pretty good, but...
Still pretty good! Man, I love Carrie-Anne Moss, make no mistake. She's great performance. I like that nobody was stupid enough to actually think Tilda had their best interests at heart.
Oh, yeah, no.
From the word go, Aloy is like, I'll work with you, but I don't trust you, bitch. You are extremely suspicious. You're still like a rich lady who bailed on the world.
Yeah.
You know, like, we don't trust rich people around here. Did you see what Ted Faro did? That motherfucker?
Aloy's just like white woman spotted.
Yeah. That's Silence just looking just looking at Tilda like white woman spotted. God
damn it. I'm just thinking, Silence, it's the green text is like, forget I'm not on focus chat, audibly saying white woman spotted.
Yeah, and Tilda is the whitest white woman ever. She is snow white, like fresh as the driven snow. And yeah, she's just I'm glad that nobody fell for it.
Mhm.
I was, for like just a second, I was worried, but then when it was obvious that Aloy and Beta were scheming behind her back in front of her,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, nobody's that stupid. Okay, good. Who else? Varl got the short end of the stick. It fucking sucks that they killed Varl.
I know.
You can't. Guerrilla Games, did you really kill the one black guy? The one good black guy in your cat? He was the first major character in the game to die? Really? Guys, you can't. It's 2022. Guerrilla Games, it's 2022. You can't. Literally anybody else would have been better. Are you insane? Especially because like Varl was getting better characterization. He was like a guy. He's like Aloy's cool, nice friend who actually knows how to talk to people, where Aloy does not. It's just, I like the one part where she tells Varl like, you get to handle politics now.
Yeah,
you know how to talk to people.
Varl's you want to come along on this journey? You get to do the talking.
Yeah, I want you to do all of the talking because I hate doing the talking.
The bit in the beginning of the game where like she bails on him in Karja.
Yeah.
And then like when she sees him at the checkpoint, she's like, please open the gate right now. I need you to open the gate now.
You need to let me out right now. And Varl, I like that Varl just goes and sits with Erend.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey man, how's it going? Erend's like, Aloy's trying to shout her way out of trouble again. Or into trouble, I suppose.
Hey, did she ditch you too and you followed after? And he's like, yep.
Yup. Again. Somebody has to keep this insane redhead from getting herself killed. Aloy's like, it's fine. I can just throw myself into danger. Don't worry about it. And then she gets herself blown up.
Yeah.
It's fine. But no, Varl got the short end of the stick. Fuck that. It sucks ass. I really kept hoping they would be like, no, he's not dead. See?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was like expecting a psych out because Tilda was so calm.
Tilda was so chill. Yeah. Like Aloy was pissed, but Tilda was super chill. And I thought I'd be like, oh no, your friends rescued him.
Yeah, like,
no, he's just fucking dead.
Like I thought Tilda would be like, because she's such don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. I was expecting him to show up at breakfast.
Yeah, and be like, I'm fine. I just feel like a little stiff.
He's like healed with like nanotech or something,
But no, they just fucking kill Varl.
No, he's just dead.
He's just fucking dead. They're just like, well, he's dead. Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. I guess.
They gave Zoe a baby though.
Great. That sucks. I hate that. I hate that plot twist every single time. I think it sucks. It's never been executed well in the history of the world. It universally sucks.
It's never been done in a way that makes me feel satisfied,
Right, yeah. Oh, you mean your boyfriend's dead? Now you have to raise a baby alone?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that feels great. No, that doesn't feel good. That sucks. It's never cool. You shouldn't have killed Varl. Bring him back. I'll pay for that DLC.
Yeah.
Make it fixable when you put out your fucking DLC pack.
Because there you go.
And it doesn't even, and because we're all expecting them to bring him back, like the actual killing him scene, it's like, surely to God not. They're not actually going to do that. They're not going to really commit.
It didn't hit because like...
It didn't hit, yeah, because you're like, they wouldn't do that.
He got stabbed and then you immediately black out and you get no time to process it.
Yeah, you don't actually get to see, there's no like actual seeing of the body, although that is a weird thing about this game we got to talk about right now. I understand that this game isn't rated M, but like it's really weird that when they, the one Zenith that they murk early in the game, Verbena.
Yeah.
It's really weird. They murk her and then they cut to her body and there's no mark on her at all.
Yeah.
Like, bro, she got stabbed. Like, she should be dead. I mean, she is dead, but she should be more visibly dead, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say.
And and I think it is because it's rated teen and like.
But like, you can still put like a little bit of like, blood on them. Yeah, blood, or like even kind of just like a general like kind of wound. It doesn't have to be graphic.
Well, here's a question, Sarah: do the Zeniths have blood?
They have white blood because when Zoe runs Eric through at the end of the game, again, no visible wound after she does it. There's white blood, like right in MGS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a thing I noticed. They've replaced their blood with some sort of new thing, I suppose.
With some sort of robot goo.
Yeah, robot semen. It's fine.
You know what? We got to. I just want to talk about that right now. Is
sure.
Fucking. Hey.
Not what I was expecting the plot to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised you hid that as well as you did.
You did a good job. That is not what I was expecting this story to be about at all. Honestly, the thing is that they talk, like, the trailer's all focused on the Blight, like, a lot, but the Blight is really not that big of a thing.
The Blight is a means to an end.
Yeah.
And it's just to kind of get Aloy going from place to place. It does not really come up. Well, obviously, fixing the Blight is the reason you're getting the
Gaia put back together,
the AIs and stuff, but that is a precursor to the confrontation with Far Zenith.
Yeah, that's I did not expect that to be the thing at all.
We did see shots of Tilda in the trailers, but I thought she was just another AI.
I thought she was another AI,
like a hologram,
or even like somebody from the old world who's in cryosleep,
Yeah.
I did not expect people from space to show up with like spaceships and shit.
But I really, really like it because the Far Zenith thing in the first game was just like a minor side detail, right?
Yeah, they bring it up like very briefly that like the Odyssey blew up as they were on their way to Sirius.
Yeah, it was the emphasis of no, Zero Dawn is our last chance. We can't hide. We can't wait this out. We can't escape to space. This is the only thing we have left, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I was surprised that like the first thing you do in the game is explore explore Far Zenith, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's the thing that they talked about, and it's like, oh, it's a neat little callback, and then I didn't expect it to be important.
Yeah, I didn't really put those pieces together. I thought it was just like, well, we need like an opening set piece for Varl and Aloy to interact inside and give Varl kind of, because Varl gets his focus and he gets to actually, see the world the way Aloy sees it. And I thought, well, this will be a good way to put Varl in a heavily technical place to interact with the stuff and also kind of understand the way the old world was. It was, it was selfish and tech oriented, and the people of Far Zenith were only kind of interested in getting off world to save themselves,
Yeah, and it's a good kind of quote unquote recap of events.
Absolutely.
It like reminds you of like the nature of the old world and
how it ended and like, oh yeah, they tried to go off world, it didn't, so Aloy can be like, yeah, this is this is the thing they tried to do to go off world, it didn't work, so we had to do Zero Dawn instead, right?
Yeah.
But no, it actually is extremely important.
And then a fucking door opens and a bunch of future people walk out with the clone of Elizabeth.
Yeah, and you're just like, huh?
What the fuck?
Huh? Excuse me?
And they're
okay.
And they're talking like modern people.
Yeah, like they understand computers and they know what's going on. And even I was like not expecting them. I thought they would also be clones or descendants.
Yeah.
But no, they're just immortal. They just found a way to beat death. And now they're here to ruin everything. Oh no.
Oh, it's all fucked.
Oh fuck.
We got to talk about it, but
sure.
You know who else found a way to beat death?
Oh, that's the other thing. Because I had to bring it up. It was in relation to the fact that there's no blood or even like a hole in Verbena. Cowardice to not show Ted Faro.
I'm of two minds. I'm of the mind of, yes, cowardice. Show me a big Dead Space Ted Faro.
Sure.
But also, fucking CO's reaction of like walking in and then immediately walking out and saying burn it all to the ground.
No, I am going to only say cowardice because you have this fancy fucking engine that makes these cool robot dinosaurs and these extremely realistic looking people. You couldn't even give us like a little glimpse of you using it for like a fucked up goo monster, you know? No, unacceptable. Cowardice. I don't like it. Show me the monster.
I really, really hope. I hope when the Forbidden West art book comes out, there is concept art of it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, we decided it was too fucked up to put in our T-rated game.
I don't care. You should
like,
have put it in your T-rated video game, or even just like a little glimpse.
We sent it to the ESRB, and they said, no, this is M.
If that's the case, then yes. But like, you still, I don't know. You could have shown a little bit of it in shadow or something.
Yeah.
You could have given us like a suggestion of what like horrible flesh monster. I know that you can see it on a diagram on a computer, but that's just red lines. You don't get a good idea of it.
The hologram of him just attached to the furnace or the battery. Like that's just what he is now.
No, I wanted to see it with my own 2 eyeballs. I
would have liked it, but also, holy shit, fuck Ted Faro.
Hey, fuck Ted Faro. What a fucking monster.
The bit that made me lose it, because I was playing it on voice chat with the gang, right? And there's that, I got to a point where I just started cackling, and I told you, like, Sarah, when you get to this bit, you're going to say fuck Ted Faro so hard. And it was when you walk through that door, and the first thing you see is this giant fuck-off gold statue of Ted Faro.
Yeah. My favorite part of this game is that it, at every single turn, does not wait to dunk on Ted Faro. Even Gaia, who is like very chill and nice, is like, no, he was a narcissistic asshole. And it's like, that's great.
Were you also a bit terrified that CO would be a clone of Ted Faro, like Aloy is a clone of Elizabeth?
I thought for sure that's where we were going, but then I remembered what Ted Faro looked like, and I'm like, no, because Faro was blonde, and he was way more like lantern-jawed. Like, he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah. Because, like...
But I was worried.
They got to the bit where, like, you know, the door is genetically locked to only Ted Faro's DNA. And, like, my heart stopped for a second.
I'm like, don't do it, game.
CEO was going to open the door. And I'm like, no, don't you say you brought Ted Faro back.
That man needs to stay dead.
But no, he's just some guy. And the real Ted Faro is in the basement, actually.
That's the actual horror story. Ted Faro is in the basement.
Yeah, that was all. I still think the audio logs you get of like the bunker of the last surviving humans are some of the most heartrending.
Oh, wretched!
Just nightmarish.
Imagine being trapped in a bunker for God knows how long with Elon Musk.
Right, but like even without Elon Musk, like how do you wake up every day? Like, God, how do you even bother to get out of bed?
Yeah, you're just like, you're basically just kind of like stewing and waiting for the end. You're just kind of riding out the apocalypse in your tacky pyramid. Ugh. What a piece of shit. What a
fucking wretched human being.
I will say, the reason that I'm mad that we don't get to see Goo Monster Ted is because I wanted the satisfaction of seeing him just being like an abomination. Like, I needed that for my own spiritual release. For like my own satisfaction. It has nothing to do with like the horror of not seeing it. No, I needed to see it for my own catharsis so I can get the last laugh, because this way I'm not getting the last laugh. Somebody else is fucking burning that demon in the basement. And it doesn't, it's like, nope, I needed more. I did love the horror stinger of like Aloy looking at the diagram of his nightmare fucked up body, and then you hear something banging away inside the power room, and you are realizing it basically at the same time as Aloy, going like, Surely to God, not.
Like, oh,
right?
no, those audio logs about like him achieving immortality and like getting like surgeries and like injections, like, no, it didn't work, did it?
It couldn't have worked. But no, it did work.
No, it very much did.
And it was a horror. What else before because we're approaching the hour and a half mark.
We are.
We're getting there. I don't know what the next game is going to look like. I mean, I have a general idea because it's going to be another open world gorilla game and I'm going to like it, but like...
So I'm of 3 thoughts to what's going to happen directly.
Hit me.
Because unlike the first Horizon, you can play after the final cutscene.
Right.
Like, it's not like you don't revert back to right before triggering the final battle.
Mm-hmm.
What this means is they'll set the DLC after the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what's going to happen for Horizon 3 is either the DLC, the first intro mission of Horizon 3, or the first cutscene of Horizon 3 will be getting Hephaestus back.
Yeah, right. Because Hephaestus still technically got away from us again.
Yeah, and and Gaia said like they're on a time limit. They only have a few months to get Hephaestus back before they reach, hit the point of no return. Right.
Right.
So what this says to me is that the enemies of Horizon 3 won't be robot animals anymore.
Oh yeah, it's going to be or whatever Nemesis makes.
Yeah, it'll be the Nemesis goo.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think means they'll have to really mix up a lot of their gameplay.
I think to a certain degree, but I mean, like, Horizon is still a video game about hunting giant robot dinosaurs. Like, that is its primary hook. So I think what will almost certainly happen instead is because they mention in the cutscene that Nemesis can hack anything.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a matter of... it's going to be like robot dinosaurs under Nemesis's control instead.
Right.
Is almost certainly going to be a thing. But then I also wonder if that means like we'll get to do cool things like intentionally turning robots to our side, which would be fun. The reprogramming and like the mounting will probably be greatly expanded because right now, hacking is just you convert one to your side temporarily and then it dies or reverts when the hacking stops, right? I love that my neighbor is playing his guitar above me right now. So if you're hearing that, I'm sorry.
I'm not hearing anything, but...
Okay, good.
But, like, it's very bare bones, and you don't get much to upgrade with it. It's just like, oh, yeah, you turned a stalker onto your side, and now it's going to hang out and fight things for you for a little bit. I feel like Horizon 3 will actually lean into the imprinting thing. I hope so.
I would like that.
You might be able to, like, when because you can call your mount, and I noticed this because my mount would wander into battle sometimes, and my mount would just sit there. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, help.
Please help. I would like you to help me in this fight, my little robot friend.
I think I would love to see you reprogramming machines, and then you can just call them in for battles.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would like to be able to pacify entire regions.
Yeah.
Because one of the kind of drags of Horizon, like having to backtrack, is that obviously enemies repopulate. Mm-hmm. It would be very cool if you could pacify regions instead, like if you could reprogram them to be on your side, so that way you could just walk through a zone without constantly being accosted by robots. I think that'd be very nice. I would like to be able to look at these cool boys without having to kill them. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that is the only way you can expand the gameplay at this point. I also just want to say, like, boy, Guerrilla Games is really pointing to the stands with this. Like, yeah, you could have like walked away from Zero Dawn and been like, okay, well, this is enough of a conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That Silence has Hades and he's walking away. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, well, obviously that can either stay or go, right? Mm-hmm. A giant meteorite filled with evil AI ghosts
hurtling towards Earth out of hate
is way more of a solid threat that you really need to call out, to wrap up.
You've really got to follow through on that one. However, I guess I will see you guys in 5 years at the end of this console generation, however long it takes.
I really hope Horizon at least gets to the end of the PS5. I do not want to play the next game on the PS6.
I know. I would like for it all to just, wrap up with this console generation, please. Please. I'm only human.
I don't think I have it in me to wait 5 more years.
I would like to see how this story resolves at some point in my human life. Thank you. Oh, God. But yeah, no, I liked this story a lot. I didn't like it as much as I liked the story of the first game. There wasn't quite as many emotional hits.
Yeah, well, you didn't get the impact of learning, how much devastation the Faro plague actually had,
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of. I mean, it's fine.
It's a sequel problem,
It's a sequel problem.
You can't.
It has the problem of being the middle game.
Yeah, you can't replicate the emotional highs of the first game because the discovery isn't there anymore. Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure they will find new bespoke ways to make me feel feelings with 3. But again, Forbidden West already has all the telltale fingerprints of being a middle game, all over it, because it can't resolve too many things because we still need, plot threads to follow up on the third game. So I liked all the kind of twistiness. I'm really glad Aloy has a younger sister now. I'm really looking forward to seeing Beta in the third game, or even the DLC, and she's, maybe wearing more tribal-looking stuff,
yeah, she's more
in-the-world kind of outfits.
Yeah, more accustomed to the, civilization.
Yeah.
I also really appreciate giving Aloy a base of operations now.
Yeah, me too.
Because that just, really solidifies her and the squad,
Yeah. One of the things I was kind of really dreading in concept for this game is that it's really easy to make a sequel where you just deal with a whole new cast of characters, and nobody comes back because Aloy is going to a whole new map zone.
Yeah.
But they actually did manage to bring along some of the characters we liked the most and kill one of them.
Yeah.
Still dog shit, Gorilla.
But we got a bunch of new characters that will obviously carry over into the third.
Right. And we have a cool base to work out of, and it's being kind of upgraded as we go, and I like that kind of thing. I just like seeing a place become more of a home after every mission. It's just fun. It's like a little cozy world building thing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing how all of this resolves. I know the inevitable DLC is going to be very interesting because, like you said, it probably will be set after the end of the game. And yeah, it's a good video game.
It's really good. I feel very bad for Gorilla.
I do feel very bad for Gorilla.
They got sabotaged again.
However, this is still a Sony first-party game, and those games always have legs.
Yeah, it's gonna sell well.
It already has sold perfectly fine. And games like this kind of tend to, they sell. It's like Nintendo games, first-party Nintendo games kind of always sell over the course of a year because people will get a new system and be like, well, I want a system-exclusive game to go with it. So you'll grab Horizon to go with it because it shows off the tech really well.
Yeah. You know what? The one thing I didn't really notice in this game, they didn't do a lot with the Rumble.
No, they don't do a lot with the Rumble. However, they do a lot with, and the other reason I want to go back and do another playthrough at some point when Final Fantasy XIV isn't eating my life, as you know, is they did do gyro aiming for this game.
They did do that. I didn't mess with it at all because I'm really bad at it.
But I have heard, mostly through the YouTuber Neryl, who is a cool guy, that once you adapt to it, because the way it works is that you're not using the gyro to steer yourself around the world. The way it works is that when you go into aiming mode, when you hold down L2 to aim, it automatically switches to gyro aiming, and you tilt your controller that way to aim.
Okay.
And because it's a gyroscope instead of another, like any other form of motion sensing, it's pretty accurate.
Right.
And like, you know, in general, once you kind of adapt to the weirdness, apparently it's more accurate. So, like, it's not as accurate as MKB. Obviously, nothing can be, but it's more accurate than thumbsticks. Mm-hmm. So, I think that would be interesting. I would like to fool with that more. So they didn't do a lot with the rumble function, but they do a lot with the haptic triggers, and they do a lot, or with the resistance triggers,
which I had to turn off because my fingers started to cramp up, which is a problem.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect to have, and I'm very grateful that, like, a lot of games just, like, we're gonna turn the sensitivity down for you.
Yeah, you can just turn it down or turn it off entirely. So they're still doing interesting things with the controller, which I'm glad for, because again, it's a first party game. The whole idea is we're trying to show off all the different neat things it can do. And yeah, I really liked Horizon. It's, like I said, I think it's, as a video game, it's better and more polished than Zero Dawn. As a story, it kind of falls a little short.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still really fun. It's still really good, and it's beautiful.
And the story has a lot of setup for third game potential. And
yeah, absolutely.
I'm very excited to see what they come up with. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited in about 2 years to see the first trailer for it.
We'll see you all in 3 to 4 years for the full game, people.
What would you call it?
Oh God!
What would be your two?
Zero Dawn, Forbidden West. I don't know. Would they just call it Nemesis?
Oh God, I hope not. I hope they keep the pattern of, like, adjective noun.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not just Nemesis. Yeah. Who knows? It's gonna have the same. It's all we know is that it's gonna have the same letters as whatever DLC inevitably comes out for Forbidden West. That'll be your hint for what it's gonna be.
I'm also looking forward to when. Oh God, what would it be? Mm-hmm. What else? What would eat Horizon 3's lunch?
Oh God. The third Breath of the Wild game.
Metroid Dread or Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, that's what it's going to finally be. And it's going to be a 3D open world shooter. And it's just going to eat Horizon's lunch.
The first open world Metroid FPS.
Yeah. It's just going to roll all over Horizon again. At this point, you know, Guerrilla is just like, if something else is announced for that time window, we'll push it back. We don't give a fuck.
Oh, you know what it'll be? FF7 Remake 3.
You're so right, because FF7, like the final FF7 remake installment would be an open world game.
Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Fuck, that's totally what it's gonna be. Shit. Rip in peace, Horizon. Sorry, you're gonna get owned by Final Fantasy VII, and even I won't buy you then, because then Final Fantasy will be like, well, I have to pick between Horizon and FF7. There's no competition. No. I'm sorry. For most people, the decision between Elden Ring and Horizon is no competition. The only thing is that I'm really bad at FromSoft games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this probably would have been an Elden Ring episode instead.
Well, also, I look at Elden Ring, 90-hour game.
Yeah.
Horizon Forbidden West, 30 to 40-hour game.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I only have so much time. We still have to do some Final Fantasy 14 episodes.
I know.
I need all the time I can get. So, I've already put 300 and something hours into that video game. I need something a little bit more digestible on the side. Yeah. Thank you. But you're super right about it being the last part of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be.
That's Ben pointing at the stands and calling that home run, baby.
That is my call. I'm gonna mark your calendars down.
You're so right. Shit. Fuck. Okay. Well, we got it in under 2 hours.
We did.
Ripped the Lost other hour. Technically, this has been 2 hours and 40 minutes because we lost an hour. However, don't worry about it.
Real one final thought though. Speaking of FF7 remake, we need more like prestigious Sony titles where the heroine falls off of a rusty ladder and mutters shit.
Yeah, we got 2 now. We need more. It's really good. Aloy just calling people like, useless shits and stuff was great.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you, girl. I'm glad that you have very little tolerance for some of these people's horse shit.
Let Alva say fuck though.
Let Alva
use your one fuck on Alva or Beta.
Ooh. I think it should be Beta instead.
Let Beta
I think
say
it should be Beta. I think if anybody, because she's like more modern than the rest of them, she's actually used the Apollo database to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody would get to just walk in and go, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It would be Beta, right?
Yeah.
So we give it to Beta. She gets her one fuck, and she's got anxiety. She's allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
All
right.
That'll do it for us. Thank you, Vistor, for use of background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to Sara play other RPGs, listen to her other podcast.
Other RPGs with cool and varied characters. Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. We go through a lot of different systems. We've always got multiple stories kind of going at one time. It's always a lot of fun. We're actually kind of on a hiatus for the month of March because of stuff going on in other cast members' lives. But we just wrapped up our Beam Saber block, which is a system where you play as mech pilots in a complicated war, kind of like a Gundam, like very Gundam inspired. Mm-hmm. And I like it a lot. That was a really great block, and I think it's a good place to kind of start listening to Big Gay Nerds because you get like a very kind of compressed story. So go check that out. We're Big Gay Nerds wherever you get your podcast. So thanks.
All right, that'll do it for us. We said it last time, but I think it's worth repeating.
Fuck Ted Faro.
Fuck Ted Faro.
I feel like when we inevitably do our Horizon 3 episode, we are also going to say it there too.
When Ted Faro manages to weasel his way into Horizon 3 in some capacity.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, this was Ted Faro's fault too.
See, you know how they have like a Beta? They have a clone of Elizabeth in the form of Beta because they still had some of Elizabeth's DNA to make a clone off of. They will almost certainly also have Faro's DNA. And Nemesis is going to make a Ted Faro clone to act as its representative.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. That's a strong prediction.
There you go. I'm calling that one right now. I am now pointing at the stands. And that's how we'll also get to say fuck Ted Faro at the end of Horizon 3.
And that dickhead would call himself Omega.
He would. Fuck, you're super right, wouldn't he? He would be like, I am the Alpha and the Omega, you know?
Oof. Yeah.
Yep. Calling it right there.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Look forward to it, people. I can't wait to say I was right in 6 years.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.